So let's say you've signed up to do something. You've got a contract for a comic book. You've promised a buddy who's always wanted to work with you that you'll do some pages, or maybe you did a crowdfunding project. And bad news, you're behind, or worse, you've come to the realization you're never going to get back on schedule. It's actually never going to happen. What do you do? Hey, everybody, this is Perch. This is one of those cases where I've talked a bit about this before, and it always comes down to kind of the same basic answer. The reality is, life is complex. There are curveballs, things change. There's a million reasons why a commitment that you thought or you hoped was rock solid may not be able to come true. Or maybe just something different happened. Maybe you thought you were going to do one thing and it turns out you're going to have to zag instead of zig, or whatever it happens to be. You're going to have to go in a different direction. And so your initial plan doesn't work. Now, hopefully, by the way, this is for the case where you're failing for the first time. What do you do? Now, there's a whole different world, by the way, of people who perpetually make commitments and then break them. There becomes a little bit less of a, hey, accidents happen, and more a, hey, maybe you don't understand your own limitations. It's kind of like me if I said, hey, I'm going to sign up to fly a plane. Well, that would be kind of a dumb thing for me to do because I don't know how to fly a plane. So, I'm never actually going to accomplish that goal. And if I even got in a position where I might be able to accomplish that goal, you wouldn't want me in that position because I am going to crash that plane. Well, with comic books, it's a common scenario that people sign up to do jobs. And there's a million things, like maybe you get a contract with a small indie company and you're going to do a comic book with somebody and you're midway through it. And then the stars align and your best buddy gets to be an editor at DC, and suddenly you have a chance to draw Superman. And so you're going to basically have to put that project on hold, that indie project, that project that maybe you signed for a lot less money or no money, and it was a favor to a friend. But now you've got an actual paying gig that will get you some exposure, and you got to take advantage of that. These things happen all the time. And as we're seeing more and more crowdfunding, you're also seeing it happen fairly regularly, that somebody will have a dream, have an idea for a comic book, and say not realize what it takes to get something published. Or maybe they get so excited with the crowdfunding aspect of it that they spend the entire campaign getting their marketing going and getting people whipped up into a frenzy and maybe ducking into a gossipy live stream or two. And then suddenly, wonder upon wonders, the campaign closes, you're successful, but you've actually done 0 of the 40 pages that you promised you would do. There's a lot of little things like this. And in general, people should be forgiving about mistakes. Things change. But there's a vast world of difference in forgiveness if you're upfront about your failure or if you try and hide and suppress it. And this is where a lot of people make the mistake. I've made this mistake myself. There comes a point where you don't fully realize that you failed. And so you think, you know what, if I can just get lucky, if the stars will align, if I can get into the zone, whatever happens, happens, I can actually get back on track. Nobody ever need know that I failed. Or maybe, it'll be a couple days late, but what's a couple days? A couple days is nothing. That's the trap people get into. And for whatever reason, human nature, it's very, very hard for people to say the simple words, well, I didn't make it. I made a mistake. I thought I'd be able to do something, but I can't. We all usually recognize that that's the right thing to do until it comes to ourselves. When ourselves are concerned, we tend to come up with lots of reasons why we don't need to take that step. Why, we can just let this one ride. It'll be okay. But it's rarely okay. In fact, a better way to say it is it's never okay. It never works out. And your people are generally extremely forgiving if you're humble and honest. If you do a crowdfunding campaign, you got too excited about the hype, you didn't get the pages done, and now you're at the end of it, people are wondering, where's the book? Or maybe even kind of exaggerate a little bit. Maybe you said, hey, I'm busy at work at this thing, but you actually haven't drawn anything yet. or you haven't written anything yet, whatever you happen to be, whatever job you're doing. Generally speaking, if you come out and say, look, guys, I'm sorry, I overextended. I didn't realize some of the things that I had to do. And by the way, don't have people drag this explanation out. If you get in front of it, say it right away. As soon as you're going to be late, say, you know what? I saw a guy with a crowdfunded campaign. Now, this was for a consumer product, nothing to do with comics. But it was amazing because this mail comes out saying, guys, I'm sorry, I misjudged something, and this campaign is going to be 2 days late. I know I said on the 16th, and it's going to come on the 18th. And it wasn't a sarcastic apology, by the way. It was a guy saying, I know most of you might think that 2 days is no big deal, but my word is my bond, and I want this to be a good experience for everyone because I want people to keep supporting me. So, you know what? It's going to be 2 days late. I just wanted to let you know. Here's why, and here's what I'm doing to take care of it. And it got a lot of praise. I don't think there was anyone. I mean, there are a lot of people, dunking on him like, "Why are you apologizing for this 2 days late? Who cares?" CEO gets plenty of that. But generally speaking, people are not going to go up in arms if you come out, you admit your mistake, and if you offer a mitigation plan. You offer hey, I didn't, this didn't go right, but here's what I'm going to do to make up for it. Here's where we're going to get this thing back on track. If you can offer that out to people, you will get forgiveness. You will get people who will come back to the table with you and certainly, and in some cases, maybe help you out of the bad spot you're in. But the trick is you got to come clean. And in comics, in addition to just human nature, people not wanting to be out front with this stuff, there's almost a secondary moment where in comics it's like it's seen as shameful if you admit to being late. But the comedy there is in comics, people are late all the time. I mean, if there's one thing that's very true and consistent about comics, it's that they're late. Like all over the place, they're late. Comics being on time is a hilarious fantasy wherever you go. So the idea that you're going to be a little bit late with your program, your job, whatever it happens to be, it's normal, it's expected, and nobody's going to fault you for it, unless you hide, you say nothing, you start to get very defensive about it. Well, I'm not that late. You've been late. That kind of stuff. That's the thing that gets people screwed every time. And so the advice is in comics, and by the way, in life, just in general, just admit where you're at. If something goes wrong, everybody in life has had something go wrong. Just be clean with it. That's my advice to you. Do you have any other bits of advice, things that creators could probably use? Let me know. I would love to hear it. I would love to answer any questions you might have. Like, subscribe, introduce to a friend. Would welcome any new guests onto the channel. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.